Hello, New England, and welcome to this week's edition of the Financial Game Plan. I'm your host, Kristin Oakley, and joining me in the studio is Cody Rose Kelley. She is a financial professional with Terra Firma Financial Advisory based right here in New England. Cody Rose, my friend, always a joy to see you. How are you this week?
It's great to be here. Thanks for having me, Kristin.
Oh, you're welcome. Well, and I love that we didn't even coordinate. We're very patriotic today, right?
You know,
covering all of our bases.
We always seem to work out our coordination. I love it. We got a good thing going on.
Well, it's interesting because the title of today's show is How to Remove Your Wealth from Washington. If you are concerned about your potential tax bill in retirement, you're not going to want to miss today's show. So this is going to be a really fascinating discussion. You know, I think a lot of people don't enjoy talking about taxes, but it's so critical. It can be so frustrating when we've worked so hard and yet so much of our money is going to pay taxes, but there's actually lots of different income that Washington can't touch, hence the name of today's show, How to Remove Your Wealth from Washington. So we're going to get into it, but before we dive into some of the common types of non-taxable income, it's important to establish two things about our conversation today. So first up, Cody Rose, why, in your opinion, is it so important for folks to pay attention to their potential tax bills in retirement?
Some people have a very large tax bill and a tax burden when it comes to their retirement plans that they're not even aware of. And if we're not planning for those things, then you are going to have a lot less in your portfolio that you think that you can actually spend.
Right. Well, I think it stems from the fact that the majority of Americans have the bulk of their wealth saved up in these qualified accounts, those tax-deferred accounts. Maybe you have a 401k, a 403b, a TSP, 457, all these workplace retirement plans. And so a lot of folks have been kicking that tax can down the road, which means the time is coming where Uncle Sam's going to want to get his share.
That's correct, Kristin. Yeah, if you have tax deferred plans, you have been kicking the tax can down the road, just like you said. So it is important to know what your financial burden for those taxes are going to be, because if you think, oh, I can retire because I have over $1 million in these accounts, well, those you still have to pay your taxes on first.
Right.
So it's considerably less than you think it is when you're actually talking about green spendable money after tax.
For sure. Now, the second thing I want to point out is that you all are not CPAs, but you do engage in strategic tax planning for your clients. So talk a little bit about the difference between the tax preparation and the tax planning, which you all focus on for your clients at Terra Firma Financial.
Yeah, tax planning and tax prep are two different things. Tax planning is what we do for our clients to help them and to strategically optimize their funds without paying, so that we're not paying more taxes than we need to. Tax prep is what we all do every year when we pay our taxes and they're due in April. So, you know, you're right, people don't like talking about taxes, but we all got to pay them, so.
Yeah, for sure. Well, it's interesting, I've heard it said, and I think this is a really good analogy. Tax prep is like a historian who's looking back in time, an archaeologist, if you will, right? You're looking back at what you did last year and then how you can currently save on your taxes from that previous year. Tax planning, which you all specialize in doing, you're like architects. You're building for the future, right? Isn't that a good way to think of it?
Yeah, we are. We're building an indestructible building, hopefully.
Right, with a firm foundation, and of course that's where Terra Firma gets its name,
right? Solid ground, Terra Firma.
Yes, for sure. But I want to go back to something you said, Cody Rose. You were talking about how, let's say someone has $1 million saved up. I think of that campaign that came out a few years ago, What's Your Number? And a lot of people are thinking, oh, if I have $1 million, I'm going to be okay, right? That used to be the standard number.
It seems to be a golden number that people talk about commonly. It's so different for each person. So the fact that so many people have this ideal number that's the same number, this golden number of $1 million, never mind the fact that $1 million isn't what it used to be, unfortunately.
Right.
But it's not just a golden number that's going to work for everybody. Everybody has different incomes in retirement. Everybody has different expenses in retirement. Everybody has different health care and healthcare needs.
Yep.
So there's a lot of different points that go in there, and all of these small things go into a bigger picture that are very important to understand.
But even if someone, let's say that $1 million is what they've been striving for and they've achieved, let's say you have $1 million saved up in your workplace retirement plan, like your 401k or maybe a traditional IRA. Do you realize that not all of that money is yours? And that's what we're talking about, because you have a silent partner, whether you realize it or not. It's Uncle Sam.
Uncle Sam, yeah.
And he's coming.
I call it Uncle Sam and Aunt Irma.
Right.
So an Irma comes in when you're talking about Medicare and what those expenses are going to be. But those are, you know, that aunt and uncle, they're your family. They're in business with you. So those are important things to understand and how they're going to affect your portfolio.
Well, and that's why we wanted to call this show How to Remove Your Wealth from Washington. How do you go ahead and get Uncle Sam out of the picture so that you can mitigate and lower your tax burden in retirement? Now, it's important also to stress we are not talking about tax evasion here, right? We're not talking about doing anything illegal, but we want you to pay the least amount to the IRS that you are legally required to pay. That's why engaging in that strategic tax planning is so critical. So we've got a list of income here that the IRS can't touch, and we're going to get through as many of these as we can. First up is Roth account income. So Cody Rose, take it away. Let's share with our viewers all about why Roths are often the way to go.
Roths are some of the best kind of money because the money that when you take out money from your Roth account, you've already paid the taxes on them. There's no tax burden. Plus, the time that money was in the account growing, that's all tax-free as well. If you have a fund money account in the market and you have gains on it, you pay taxes on that. If you have a company-sponsored plan, you're paying taxes when it comes out of the money because you haven't paid them yet. Plus, you're paying the taxes on the gains.
Right.
So there's these different accounts. They have different tax implications, and it's really important to know what you have in front of you. Roth is the best kind because you've already paid all the taxes you need to again. So there's no more taxes on that account. So it often tends to be the most powerful account in someone's portfolio.
For sure. Well, and the other benefit is that when you hit that required minimum distribution age 73, RMDs don't apply to Roth accounts the way the rules currently stand. They only apply to traditional IRAs. And so that's what's interesting is that if you can get your money moved over to a Roth prior to hitting RMD age, that eliminates that mandatory withdrawal, which in turn increases your tax liability.
That's right, Kristin, and that's why we say that the decisions you make today affect you down the road. They are going to affect you big time, and that's a positive or a negative. You know, if you've done a good job of converting all your wealth into a Roth account, then it's going to impact you positively.
Right.
But if you have a big tax burden coming down the road that you haven't taken care of, that's why we plan for it now.
You mentioned converting. Roth conversions are something that you regularly engage in for your clients. Can you walk our viewers through who is the ideal candidate for one and how that process actually works?
Yeah, sometimes Roths can be somewhat controversial. Some people are like, well, I don't want to pay, if I don't want to do Roth conversions. I've done the math, it doesn't make sense. Well, it doesn't make sense for everyone, but it does make sense for a lot of people. And it's important to have that conversation and make sure that we know what's right for each individual client. Everybody's a different puzzle.
Right.
So when we do Roths, it's important to understand that conversions are paying your taxes today so that you can continue to grow that account tax-free. It's also conversions are different than contributions, which is the thing that some people get mixed up a lot.
It's a common misconception, yeah.
Yeah, so contributions are the money that you're putting into that account on a regular basis. Some people contribute every year. Some people contribute on a monthly basis into Roth accounts, and those are your contributions. Now, conversions are different. That's taking tax-deferred monies that are in an IRA or a 401k, a 403b, and that's converting them into a Roth account and paying those taxes, whatever amount that you're converting, you pay those taxes. And then that money is now not tax deferred, it's tax free.
Right. It's I like to say you're moving it from taxed always to taxed never again. Right? That's a good way to think about it.
I love that. That's a great way to put it.
Well, I know that a lot of folks watching today are going, yeah, I want to get Uncle Sam out of the picture. You know, if someone's considering, I don't know, is a Roth conversion right for me? Is it not? What would you say to them?
I would say, let's find out. It doesn't hurt to come in and get a comprehensive plan for your retirement or even today. Like, you don't have to wait till you're retiring to get your finances under order.
Awesome. Well, I'm excited to continue this conversation with you on how to remove your wealth from Washington. But if you would like to get started, maybe this is resonating with you. You're going, yeah, I want to help mitigate my tax burden in retirement. Maybe you're not even sure what your potential tax bill might be. This is why we encourage you to reach out to claim your complimentary written financial plan. To get yours, all you need to do is call that number you see on the bottom of your screen, 844-823-6398. Or if you have your smartphone handy, you can simply pull it out. If you open up that camera app, just point, click, and scan that QR code that you see there down in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. That will take you over to a landing page, ask you a few short, simple questions, and then a member of the team from Terra Firma Financial Advisory will reach out to connect with you to schedule your complimentary visit that way as well. Don't go anywhere. We've got a lot more to cover on this important conversation of how to remove your wealth from Washington right after this.
Our office is in Manchester. Beautiful, beautiful old Victorian. It's a historic building, 1905 it was built. We've got 5 people in our office working in there, and it's just a cozy, cozy environment. When people come in, we make it very enjoyable for them and stress-free. We've got the Paul Newman organic coffee with real cream. We've got Otis Spunkmeyer cookies right out of the oven. We've got my little 5-pound pooch that's a lap surfer. You don't look out, she'll be sitting on your lap. It's just a low-stress environment, and that's the way we want to keep it for our clients always. And everybody in there is just as sweet as pie. I mean, when I tell you that it's a nice environment for me to work in and live in, each and every day, I got my daughter there. I have, Lisa, who is our Director of Operations. She's an absolute sweet. She's the single best hand holder I've ever seen, and that's what she does. She does the applications, the money chasing. She's just an absolute doll, and all of our clients love her. We have Denise, who is our receptionist and does a tremendous amount of admin work and things of that nature. And then we have Peter, who is about as nice a man as you're ever going to want to meet, who does our clients' taxes and estate planning. So it's just a nice, warm, friendly environment. It's a nice place to hang out, not only for us as employees and employers, but for our clients. They all love coming to see us.
Welcome back to the Financial Game Plan, where today we are discussing how to remove your wealth from Washington. I'm your host, Kristin Oakley, and joining me is Cody Rose Kelley, financial professional from Terra Firma Financial Advisory. And Cody Rose, I want to go back to something we were talking about. Obviously, a lot of folks who are entering retirement now and in retirement didn't have the option of a Roth account because Roths are relatively new in the grand scheme of things.
As far as company-sponsored plans go.
Company-sponsored plans, yes. So for people who are more in your and my stage of life right now, a lot of folks now have the option of contributing to a Roth 401k, for example, at their place of employment. What's interesting is we're taught for years to utilize the tax deduction today, right? And to put it into the traditional 401k. Now that a lot of folks have access to a Roth 401k, if someone's trying to decide where to put their contributions, what would you say to that individual and why?
That's always a discussion, really, Kristin. And we can start by saying that we have clients of all ages. It's never too soon to come and see us when it comes to planning for retirement or even just planning for your life today. So the sooner you come see us, the more we can help a client over their lifetime.
Right.
When it comes to a Roth 401k, that's an option that most companies no companies had just a few short years ago.
Right.
And now a lot of companies are coming out and utilizing those. It's a great option for employees. We've always been taught in the past, like you said, to defer those taxes so that we can claim a lower income.
Right.
On our taxes each year. Now, my question to you, Kristin, is do you think that you'll be making the most in your career today or 10 years from now?
Yeah, that's an interesting question because it also makes me think of how folks, we were told this is good to get the tax break today because supposedly in retirement, when you go to take the money out, you should technically be in a lower tax bracket.
Well, people think very often that they're going to be in a lower tax bracket, and it's very common that they're not. They will be paying less taxes each year because they're making less, but they're probably still in the same exact tax bracket. So it's not very the tax brackets are wide. And the other thing about those tax brackets is that right now on the table we have a plan that's going to be changing at the end of 2025.
Yes. Talk about that, because this is why this is such a
This is so
time-sensitive
important.
conversation.
This is very, very important. So right now we've got a tax break that is coming off the table at the end of 2025. So come 2026, we have no idea what those tax brackets are going to be and what we're going to get taxed on in each of those tax brackets. So would you like to pay your taxes on today's number or tomorrow's number? Because
which is unknown.
Kristin, do you think taxes are going? What do you think? You think taxes are going to go down or up?
I wish I could say down, but I have not met a person yet who does not think that they're going to go up, including me.
Of course. Look at what we're dealing with, inflation and otherwise. So if we don't know what's going to happen with the taxes in 2026, but if we had to bet, we believe that the taxes are absolutely going to go up. So it's better to pay your taxes today than to defer it.
Right. Well, and going back to your question you asked me, I didn't mean to evade it. I hope I continue to make more and more every year, right?
Of course, right? Yes, let's all get raises, right?
But you know what kills me too is I've heard a lot of financial advisors say things like, to their clients, oh, you have to pay more taxes. Guess what? That's a really good problem for you. That just means you made more. And our take is that's not just the way it has to be. Let's take steps. Let's be proactive to go ahead and mitigate how much you are legally required to pay, because a lot of folks are paying more than they need to pay and they don't even realize it.
Well, yeah, and those tax brackets that we talked about that are very wide, why not utilize the tax bracket that you're in? So if you're already in, say, the 22% tax bracket, let's use that. And even if you bump into the 24% tax bracket, that 2% is chump change over time when it comes to making what we're talking about here is Roth conversions. So utilizing that tax bracket to convert money, which gets added to your annual income. And so utilizing that tax bracket that we have in order to get those monies into a never pay taxes again account.
Right, exactly right. Well, I'm curious too, also because I know you work with a lot of clients who are in our same age, right? Age range. So for example, I know a lot of folks who worked for a previous place of employment. They only had the traditional 401k option, right? When they left that place, they rolled it over into a traditional IRA. So for someone in their 40s or 50s, is that the ideal time to start systematically converting and doing a Roth conversion? Is it better to wait till you stop working and then use that window of time, or does it just depend on the individual situation?
Yeah, that's a very complex question because it really, it always boils down to the individual, and there's no cookie cutter planning for us. Yeah, we're holistic, and there's nothing cookie cutter about it. Every single client family is a different puzzle for us to solve. So, I would say that you want to be strategically tax planning and converting to Roth no matter what your age is, but that's not true for everybody involved. So it depends on how much you make, which tax bracket you're in. Are you making contributions? Because that's also a good way to get money into a Roth account. But not everybody has that option either. So if you make too much, you can't even contribute, but you can still convert. It's important to know that. The difference between contributions and conversions is very important.
And that's for an individual Roth account that contribution limits, or your income limits rather, can come into play.
Yeah, there's a phase out. Yeah, there's a phase out for who can contribute to a Roth, and it's dependent on their income.
But anyone can convert, and it doesn't matter how much
anyone can convert, and it's incredibly important to do so. And typically, it's important to do so on an annual basis.
Yep. For sure. Well, let's continue on our list of some non-taxable income or ways to help mitigate your potential tax liability. We're not going to spend a whole lot of time on these next two, Cody Rose, but I do want to talk about some of the strategies you use. For example, if people want to give financial gifts to their family. So talk about how that can be utilized.
Yeah, so financial gifts are a common question that we get in our office from clients. That they want to help their kids buy a house, or, there's lots of different reasons why financial gifts make sense. There's that 18 grand limit that we all know, and that's an important number to know because that's the limit that we have here in 2024.
Meaning that amount can be gifted without paying any tax on it.
Correct.
Yeah, the gift tax limit.
Thank you for clarifying. Yes. So that $18,000 is the limit for individuals. It's important to know that that's not the limit if it isn't a limit for an individual. So if you have a couple that wants to gift money to a child, the wife can give $18,000 and so can the husband, and that's something that's overlooked sometimes. So
that's $36,000 that can be given as a gift tax-free.
That's correct, yeah. But it's also part of the conversation. This isn't the fun part of the conversation when it comes to gifting, but we always want to make sure a client is doing what's right for their portfolio and their needs moving forward. We have a lot of clients who are very generous and want to help out their kids as much as possible, especially considering the financial world that we live in today and how hard it is to buy houses and lots of different things.
Right.
But we want to make sure that that's not money that they're going to need to support themselves for the rest of their lives. So that's not the fun part of the conversation, but it is an important part of the conversation. So, you know, again, we look at each client as a holistic picture, and we want to look at their today and how it fits into their big picture.
For sure. Well, in a similar vein as financial gifts, let's briefly talk about QCDs, which are known as qualified charitable distributions. Talk about how that can be a tax saving strategy.
Yeah. So so the charity is a great way to lower your taxes for that annual time. So if you want to make sure that if you're close to bumping into another tax bracket per se, you can make a charitable donation and keep yourself in the lower tax bracket.
Yeah, for sure. And for folks who are over age 70 and a half, you can actually utilize QCDs. This becomes even more important once you hit RMD age, required minimum distribution age. We've got RMDs and QCDs, right? So many acronyms. But you can actually take your RMD, instead of taking it out, you can do a QCD, and as long as you don't touch the money, that's not a taxable event. The charity gets the full amount, and you don't have to pay taxes on that RMD
as
amount.
long as it's a legitimate charity.
Exactly, 501(c)(3), right?
Yeah, you got to make sure you're donating to a legitimate charity. That's a point that is important to know.
For sure, for
but
sure.
But this can be very strategic.
Yep, absolutely. And the limit for 2024 is $104,000 a year that you can use in QCD. So another huge tax saving strategy as well.
That's correct, Kristin.
Well, I know we have even more to cover, but if someone's watching and they're like, yes, help me figure out how I can mitigate my tax liability, what would you share with them?
Well, I would say if you have any questions about something we've talked about today, why not let us help you figure out what can benefit you the most?
For sure. It's all about creating greater tax efficiency throughout your full financial plan. So we invite you to pick up the phone and call 844-823-6398 to schedule your time to come in and receive your very own complimentary written financial plan from the team of Terra Firma Financial Advisory. Or again, you're also welcome to scan that QR code, and that will get you connected as well. We'll be back with more right after this.
As Americans, we strive for better, from a better house to a better career to a better life for our kids. Better has become the American way. But when it comes to your retirement, what does better mean to you? More income? A flexible lifestyle? Better solutions? A better retirement begins with a plan. Call the number you see here to find out how we at Terra Firma Financial Advisory can help give you the peace of mind that you're looking for in retirement with your own comprehensive income plan. You only retire once. This is your opportunity to plan for better. The biggest mistake we've seen people making lately, forgetting to account for inflation in their retirement plans. If you're in the retirement planning stage, but overlooking inflation, it's not too late. At Terra Firma Financial Advisory, we can help you build a plan that includes and accounts for inflation, so you may be able to avoid running out of money before you run out of retirement. Schedule your complimentary review by calling the number you see here. Let's get started.
Welcome back to the Financial Game Plan, where today we are discussing how to remove your wealth from Washington to mitigate your potential tax liability in retirement. I'm your host, Kristin Oakley, here with Cody Rose Kelley. And Cody Rose, we want to continue through this list of non-taxable income that the IRS can't touch. Annuities are on the list, and I think that's really interesting. Talk about that.
They are. So annuities are a great way to diversify your portfolio. A lot of our clients utilize them to give them peace of mind and take money out of the risk of the market. Especially in retirement, that's important because we're not still having that income coming in that's going to be our safeguard, right? So annuities are a very important thing to talk about in a portfolio overall. And it's important to understand how they can work into your portfolio and enhance it.
Well, and they are subject to different types of tax treatment, right?
That's correct. You can put different kinds of money into an annuity as well. You can put tax-deferred money into an annuity. You can put non-qualified money into an annuity. You can even put Roth money into an annuity. So it depends on the kind of account that you're making inside of an annuity. It's also important to understand that an annuity is not always a good thing for your portfolio. It's not always a bad thing. It depends on the kind of annuity that you're using.
Yes.
So,
because not all annuities are created equal.
Right. So I'm talking about the safe kind, which is important to understand that I'm talking about a fixed annuity or a fixed index annuity rather than a variable annuity. Those are not safe money instruments. That's money that can go up and down. So it's important to know what kind of annuity you're dealing with.
Right.
For a lot of people, annuities are kind of a swear word. So it's important to be educated on the different kinds of annuities because just so you guys all know, Social Security is an annuity, a pension is an annuity. It just means an annuity is just an umbrella term that means that you're going to have that money coming in for the rest of your life.
Right. I think it's always really fascinating because you mentioned variable annuities, and that's the kind of annuity that often gives all annuities a bad rep, right?
Oh, absolutely. It only takes one bad egg. But
right.
We never work with variable annuities. If someone is trying to sell you a variable annuity or put you into a variable annuity, my dad always says, punch him in the nose and run.
Right.
So you don't want to be in a variable annuity. That is not a good, but the types of annuities that we use are fantastic for our clients, and they're really the only source of peace of mind that we know that we can give our clients when it comes to building an overall portfolio.
Right. But I think it is really fascinating when folks often say, I hate annuities, and then you go, well, do you hate your Social Security? Check. No, I love my Social Security. Do you hate your pension? No, I love my pension. Well, guess what? The right kind of annuity is doing the same thing for you.
And I like to call a fixed index annuity, I like to call those personal pensions, because that's really what you're building. You're taking your money that you've put away into a retirement account and building a personal pension. And it fits into most people's portfolios in such a beautiful way.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I know you serve clients all across New England, across a few states, right? Talk about some of the individual state considerations from a tax perspective.
Oh, well, I mean, New Hampshire is a tax haven, so we don't have, fun fact, guys, everybody in New Hampshire knows this, and most people in New England, but we don't have income tax. We also don't have sales tax. We do have property tax and all sorts of other taxes, but we still have federal income tax, but not state, which is great. And it's very different than Massachusetts. So each state has different regulations when it comes to taxes, and it's important to know what your state carries for you. And a lot of times in retirement, people are planning on moving state lines. They want to stay in New England, but they want to be up north in New Hampshire or in Maine or Vermont. So they might be moving up from Massachusetts or other places. So it's important to know that sometimes a small move could make big changes for your taxes.
Well, I think I've shared this with you because I know you used to live at Lake Tahoe. My parents moved literally they're from California originally, but they moved 5 minutes across the border to Nevada for the same reasons, because Nevada has a lot of those tax benefits as well.
That's correct. Yeah, I lived in Incline Village as well. It's a beautiful place to live, and Nevada is to California just the way New Hampshire is to Massachusetts.
So fascinating. Well, gosh, we've been through a lot today on how to remove your wealth from Washington. Any final parting words for our viewers this week?
Hey, there's a lot to do when it comes to financial planning, and we'd love to help you with it. We are here in our office in Manchester, in Laconia, and in Hampton, and we'd love to sit down with you and figure out your finances.
Wonderful. Cody Rose, thank you so much for being here, and I'm excited for more folks to connect with you as a result of today's show. Again, if you would like help mitigating your potential tax bill in retirement, don't wait. Pick up the phone and call 844-823-6398 or scan that QR code to get connected to receive your complimentary financial plan. We'll be back with you next week here on The Financial Game Plan.